Hello, and welcome to Shep.Herd, a serious game about helping high school and college students have fun while learning about data literacy and evolution. I'll give a brief tutorial and introduction about how the game works and how we accomplish the aforementioned educational goals. Let's dive in. First, this is a tower defense game where enemies that we call slimes evolve to try and get closer and eat the space sheep that you are trying to protect. As space sheep, they are not like normal Earth sheep and generate antimatter, which is the currency of the game, and when they are eaten, they have a chance to convert into pure energy, which causes a large explosion. To allow players to feel more attached to their sheep, we allow them to be renamed by clicking the pencil icon and then writing a new name. Now, let's start working on our defense. In order to place walls or towers, we'll choose from one of the options on the right. In this case, I'm going to place down 3 walls and then choose fire towers, which shoots a slower moving projectile that explodes on contact to protect our sheep from being eaten. Now that we have a good defense, we'll go ahead and start the generation. Every slime in the initial generation starts out as a basic type, as up until this point they have not had any predators to contend with. In addition, each slime is also selectable in order to give players a close-up view as well as more information about each individual. And while it's currently not implemented, we plan on having the ability to pause the game and let players look in more detail at slime trait and real-time fitness values. Towers are also selectable, which gives players the chance to see how effective they are, as well as choose one of 2 different upgrade paths. And while most of the upgrades are implemented, they are still in need of balancing, and our student artist is working on creating interesting and unique icons for each tower upgrade. At the end of each wave, a screen will pop up which proposes a question related to either data literacy or evolution. This specific question is asking the player for the approximate range of the values for the tower avoidance trait, which is on the y-axis. This graph also has the turn rate on the x-axis and will be used to ask players about correlation relationships. On the graph, we see the lowest value for speed is a little lower than 2.5, and the highest value is between 12.5 and 15. Taking a look at the answers on the left, we view each of the possible answers and see that the top answer matches that range the best. To encourage answering those questions correctly, we give players a chance to double the amount of antimatter generated by their sheep and then explain why they were right or wrong. Now we'll start another generation and see what mutations have occurred. There are 6 different genes that have the ability to mutate, including the slime's main type, their secondary type, speed, how fast they can turn, the distance they would like to be from other slimes, as well as the distance they would like to be from towers. All mutations are by random chance, and the size of the mutations are determined by using a normal distribution, with the trait value being converted from its gene value using a sigmoid. The slimes that have mutated in a way that allows them to get closer to the sheep, which in turn gives them a higher fitness value, are the ones that are more likely to have offspring and pass on their genes. Another data visualization, which we present to players, are histograms based on a specific trait's frequency. This specific visualization asks the player to determine what the range of values are for the speed trait, with the lowest values falling into the range of 1 to 1.5, and the highest being in the range of 5 to 5.5. This question not only differs from the previous question based on the visualization, but also which axis the student has to view based on what the question is asking. We see that the answer should be 1 to 5, but in order to demonstrate what happens when a wrong answer is chosen, I will choose the range of 0 to 4. We then tell the students that they were incorrect and give an explanation as to why they were incorrect. In order to show more interesting, evolved behaviors and strategies, I will play this same game for 3 generations off camera and return once the enemies have evolved. 3 generations have passed, and there is now noticeable selection for certain genes and types. The speed of evolution is something we are still balancing, and every game will be different. Every 5 generations that pass, another burrow is created, which does not split genetic variability between burrows, but does decrease the total amount of time it takes for all enemies to spawn in, increasing the difficulty. As you will soon see, depending on how you have your defenses set up, that extra burrow very well might just give the slimes the boost they need to eat your sheep. Drats. All the sheep were eaten, and now the game is over. On the left side of the screen, we give players statistics about the game and how much money they've made from all sources. From killing slimes, I gained a little over 14,000 antimatter and 7,500 antimatter from sheep. If the player answers the questions correctly, they double that amount, and it ends up being a little over half of the money that players can earn. The bar chart is another visualization that we will show the players, with this specific bar chart being from the previous generation because we died. As you can see, the fire slimes have mutated to have nearly double the amount of any other slimes besides the starting type of basic. We'll now go back to the main menu and I will show you experiment mode. The mode that was just shown was the standard quick start mode, which is the balanced game as we intend for players. We also include experiment mode, which allows players to control many different variables to see what kind of strategies they are able to have evolve. To help players understand what each variable does, they are able to hover over each one and have a description appear on the top of the user interface. In order to also help with any experiments that players may want to repeat, all variables are savable in profiles with names of their choosing. Tower configurations are also savable, which currently only save the tower with no upgrades. However, it is planned in the future to have tower configurations save upgrades as well. In order to save a tower configuration, launch the game from either Quick Start or Experiment mode. Place the walls and towers that you would like to have for this configuration. Click the pause button or hit Escape to go to the pause menu, and then type the name that you would like to use for that specific configuration into the input field above. Hit Save Tower Configuration and then return to Experiment mode in order to select the profile and hit Start to load it. The simulation is very optimized in order to be accessible to almost any user, no matter what kind of hardware they have. It is in our current plans to release for PC, Mac, Linux, as well as mobile and possibly other platforms in order to have the highest level of accessibility possible. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope you enjoy the hard work we have put into Shep.Herd.